practice is about stress relief and letting go anything that's holding us in a rigid state and stopping the energy from flowing freely through our body. So I'd like to invite you to come into easy pose. You may wish to place a pillow or some blocks underneath your sit bones to push your pelvis into that anterior pelvic tilt, giving you a bit more comfort. You may also wish to sit against a wall so you've got some support for the spine. However this feels comfortable for you today, just give yourself time to settle into this pose. Now in easy pose we draw the left heel into the groin and then we draw the right heel just to touch the front of that left shin. Now you can place pillows or cushions, blocks, anything like this under your knees for support. Or if this is too much on the knees and the legs, then do extend the legs themselves and you can place a rolled up blanket underneath the knees, perhaps a bolster, whatever feels good. So I'll give you time to settle into this pose. We're going to be here for a few moments. This is a restorative and meditative pose, and it will just give us a chance to arrive today and focus on our pranayama, our breath work. When you're ready, I'd invite you to place your hands on your knees with the palms facing upwards, bringing the thumb and the index finger together in arm mudra today. And this will give us a focus point for our concentration. And as we sit in this seated position today, I'd like you to start to flutter your eyelids closed. Start bringing your awareness to the breath, but not altering anything at this stage, just breathe normally. Noticing where the breath is rising and falling. And noticing if there's any sensations in your body as you sit in easy pose today. And before we go deeper into our breath work, just take a moment to have a bit of a wiggle. Reposition yourself if initially it's uncomfortable. Let your knees fall out to the side if they're crossed. And allow your legs, if they're extended, to become heavier and melt into the ground underneath you. Lengthen up through the spine. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Root your sit bones into the ground beneath you, whether you're on a mat or on a block. Just gently push the shoulders away from the ears a little bit more with each breath that you take. We're going to start drawing our attention away from our spine, away from the sensations of comfort. We're going to bring the attention to the breath. As you inhale, see how far the breath can come, roaring right the way from the abdomen all the way through the chest. And as you exhale, really breathing out as deep as you can, getting right the way to the bottom of the lungs. And imagine the lung as a bag, and as you inhale and exhale, imagine that bag grow smaller and then expand as the breath comes in and out. And I'm going to introduce to you now some triangular breathing. For this, we inhale for the count of 3, exhale for the count of 3, and hold our breath for a count of 3. So if it feels good to do so, I'd like you to find your inhalation for 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3. Carry on breathing in this triangular breath pattern, bringing your awareness to all of the sensation of where the oxygen is traveling. Good. It is really allowing our body to let go. And the more you take steps through this breath work, feel the shoulders melt away from your ears, the back gently falls into soft positions that the spine should be in naturally. Feeling lighter and lighter as you let go of all of the anxiety, stress, and tension your body is holding. Good. Keeping it here for just a couple of more breaths. Beautiful. And as we come into our seated folded forward fold, I'd like you to uncross your legs if you've been in that position. If your legs are extended, you can leave them where they are. We're going to engage our core muscles, keeping the shoulders dropped from the ears, lengthening up through the spine, keeping the back nice and straight. Root down evenly in your sit bones. You may need to wiggle side to side to get that evenly distributed. And reach your arms gently forwards towards your feet. Broaden through your shoulders and your upper back. And begin to fold forward from your hips, leading with your heart as you do so. Now, this isn't about coming right the way down. Your head doesn't need to touch your knees, and your hands don't need to touch your feet. You can place a cushion under your forehead, or perhaps a block rested on your legs to support your forehead as well. You may wish to use a yoga strap or a belt around the feet to gently hold on to as well. Work with your body and see what works best for you. Give yourself a moment to settle into this, finding the props that support you. And when you're ready, start to refocus your attention back onto the breath work, breathing normally and without judgment. We're going to be working with our solar plexus, our sacral and root chakras, to clear any blockages to allow our energy to flow. And if it becomes too much in the position that you're in now, gently reposition yourself, perhaps introducing a prop at this stage, just so that you can settle back for the last few breaths. And we're going to start coming out of this pose by walking our hands up our legs, gently coming back up, removing any props that you've used so far, and just gently turning yourself over, ready to come into our child's pose. We're going to stretch the lower back and the glutes and the ankles. And we're going to continue our calming and restorative practice. So to begin with, I'd like you to come into tabletop, spreading your fingers wide, making sure your knees are set directly underneath your hips and your wrists directly underneath your shoulders. Lower the hips, pushing back towards the heels of your feet. And if possible, bring the big toes to touch. You can have a V shape within your legs to create space for your abdomen, or you might feel good having the knees together. Just explore that and see what works best for you. Now, some variations here. You can take a bolster, placing it between the V of your legs and just gently resting your upper body and your head on the bolster. You may find that it serves you by taking a block, standing it tall and resting your forehead on that block with your arms gently resting beside you. You can extend the arms forwards, gently placing your forehead onto the mat or a cushion. Or you may wish to have your elbows on the mat, your palms held together, and the tips of your thumbs just in your third eye center. And before we settle into this pose, just play around with that, see what feels good for you. When you're comfortable, we're going to take a beautiful deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, allowing ourselves time to settle into this child's pose. With each breath, allowing yourself to relax, relax, relax. And if thoughts come into the mind, try not to judge them in any way. Know that they're there, they're present. As the bubbles of thoughts come in and out and they pop one by one, just bring that attention onto the breath. And if sensations start to present themselves within the body, you can alter yourself, perhaps placing a cushion between the thigh and the knees there to support if you're feeling that that's too much. Taking a few more deep breaths, allowing yourself to release any stress, release any tension, and focusing on you. This is your time. There's nowhere that you need to be right now. No to-do list. Nobody needing you. This is your time to let go. And when you're ready, gently come back up from where you've been, whether that's walking your hands up the mat from where they've been in front of you, or gently rising in a way that serves you. Just coming into a seated position on your heels, taking a moment We're going to place our hands back on the mat, extending the arms in front of us, spreading the fingers nice and wide. Coming into a downward facing dog, we're going to tuck our toes underneath us. Lift the knees away from the mat and send the sit bones towards the ceiling. Now the focus here is to lengthen your spine, so if it's too strong with straight legs, then please do have a gentle bend within your knees. If you can, ease the heels towards the floor and just pedal the feet out, really stretching the calf muscles. And you can move in a way that feels good for your body, so you may want to sway your hips here. You may wish to stay static instead of pedaling your feet. But just relax the head and the neck and broaden your shoulder blades as you do this. As we lengthen the spine and strengthen our shoulders, our arms, our wrists and our legs. As we come into our standing position to finish our session today, just gently walk the feet towards the hands. And as we stand in our deep forward fold, you can come into ragdoll, so folding the arms and gently sway side to side. Or you may wish to leave your hands on the mat, or perhaps use a prop here. You can use a block to place your hands on. You can soften the bend in the knees. But just take a moment here to allow the body to relieve any tension from the lower back. And as we oxygenate the brain, we reduce fatigue. We align the spine and the neck. Digestion improves too, and your hamstrings, your calves, your lower back, and your glutes will thank you for it. This is a favourite of mine. It's a beautiful pose. Now we're going to find our inhalation. And with the exhalation, gently start to roll yourself up, leading with the hips, stacking your vertebrae one at a time on top of each other. And when your spine is in neutral, standing tall, pushing through the crown with your arms gently beside you, your palms facing forwards. Gently tilt the pelvis into neutral, coming into mountain pose. Take a couple of deep breaths here. You may want to flutter the eyes closed or perhaps leave them open. And then with your next inhalation, elevate your arms, extend them in front of you, drawing them up so that your biceps frame your ears. Gently place the palms of the hand together. And as you exhale, draw the hands down to heart center. And again, inhale, pushing the fingertips up, extending the arms. And exhale, drawing the hands down to heart center once again. It's been an absolute privilege to guide you today.